Please be aware that this podcast is intended for a mature audience, and therefore it might have language that is not intended for children. Enjoy the podcast. Hello friends, hope everyone in your families are or is healthy, and I hope you're also healthy and doing well. Today I'm doing the podcast solo again, so I'm back to solo podcasting, at least for a while, and I'll try to get some other people on. Today I will also slow down the pace since we're talking about anxiety and meditation. If you get bored and you don't want to listen to this podcast until the end, what you can take from it is the videos in the description of the podcast. You can see I attach some meditation videos and I attach some more able speaking people, such as Russell Brand, who ties the information, I would say, better and with more expertise than I do, but I will give my own perspective on meditation, and I will talk a little bit about research of meditation. You might hear my keyboard a little bit as I'm going back and forward between the two studies, the two meta-analysis I want to present, and then as I look at my script, because for this one I need a little bit of a script just to talk about the research studies. So if you look in the description, you will see a Sage Pub journal, and this is one meta-analysis study. A meta-analysis is basically a study of studies to see the overall effect of meditation on anxiety and on some people with mental disorders. And if you look in this research, you will find mixed findings suggesting that mindfulness, meditation, yoga, and breath techniques do not have a long-term effect on reducing stress and depression. They're mostly only effective when there was no active control group. So this study has other studies in it that have varying lengths of meditation and duration in weeks. The problem here is the way that people apply and perceive the meditation. For example, same if someone is a beginner in visualization and you tell them to visualize moving objects, that's a problem because you should start with static objects. And you should start with holding that steady object for a duration of time. Now, if you skip that part and you make them visualize them playing or moving objects or whatever the visualization is about, you might not be able to get the same benefits as you do with someone that has already mastered the skill. So this meditation should be practiced like any skill. My opinion here is that 8 weeks, which is the maximum duration in those studies, is not enough to feel long-term benefits. Measuring improvement is also very hard to define when looking at a daily life quality. So that's also something that you want to keep in mind. I also strongly believe that people with high anxiety and depression, especially with an accompanied mental disorder, can benefit first from other therapies such as CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and medication also, certain medication and combinations of medication that can take a long time and a lot of trials to be discovered, and only secondarily from meditation. Also, the biggest limitation of the study is the lack of control of the way the subjects were meditating, as tapes were sent to them and they were not in a controlled environment for most of the studies. So that's also a very, very big limitation of those studies that were analyzed in the Sage journal that I'm talking about. And that can be a big problem, obviously, because people will tell you will log the hours. They will log that they have meditated for 1 hour or 20 minutes or whatever the duration was. But the problem is that what was the quality of the meditation? Were they interrupted? Did they have to start again, or did they just go through it if they were interrupted? There are so many variables that come in. It's the same studies, nutritional studies that are done, basically asking people what they ate, log in a journal, and they were like, oh yeah, I ate an apple there, I ate the meal there, and they're guessing the calories and they're guessing what they ate, and they skip a meal or they forget to log it in. So that's a very problematic aspect of those studies that cannot be controlled, that don't have a lab setting. Also, when you have a lab setting, the problem is that until you get used to the lab setting, you will be affected by the environment. Now, if you look at the second study, which is more like an article from health.harvard.edu, this is an article that talks about another meta-analysis, another series of meta-analysis studies. And those studies overall suggest that meditation and visualization have a positive effect in some circumstances, such as generalized anxiety disorder, a condition marked by heart control, worries, poor sleep, and irritability. But in the rest of the studies, actually the majority of the studies, you don't see a very big effect, a very significant p-value, which should be statistically under 0.05 if you look at those measures. So this one finds a little bit of positive correlation. Actually, not a little bit, it finds pretty solid positive correlation, but only in a limited amount of studies, so not the majority of them. If you want to take a look for yourself and check it out, please do so. I will attach the links in the order that I'm talking about them, so you can check it and you can look at those meta-analyses. In the health.harvard.edu, you will have a direct link in the text that will send you to the meta-analysis that the article is talking about. So we can go on and on about those research studies, and we can find obviously many more, and we can find many more that will in a way confirm our hypothesis. If this is our hypothesis, I know it's mine, that meditation is actually beneficial for ourselves, but you can do that by ourselves. And I wanted to tell you about my personal view and my personal experience with it, because there's no such thing, even in studies. I mean, that's why research is done, to see if it's verifiable, if it's objective. But in those situations that are a little bit more esoteric, such as meditation / spirituality / yoga, I don't think we have developed the complete tools to measure it, to measure the energy levels, to measure the nervous system response. So I'll bring you here my personal view, because I have experienced with meditation in the past 4 years, on and off. Lately, I've been doing it much more, and I personally see my quality of life improving. I think that meditation and visualization, even if you do 10 minutes per day, but consistently, has tremendously improved my capacity to follow my thought patterns and understand what and why is happening in the moment. And yes, even when I'm in another state of consciousness, such as drunk or whatever, under the influence, whatever you call it, the idea is that I can trace my thoughts and I can follow the emotions much better than I used to before. And you don't need to expect something magical, especially at the beginning of your sessions. While I'm doing it, I get into a state of bliss, and most times I get a flow of ideas, especially if that's what I'm looking for in a meditation. And it's interesting because you get in a flow of ideas when you quiet your mind. Sort of saying when it's silent, when your mind is silent, your ideas and your deeper state or unconscious state speaks louder. And you get very, very interesting images and ideas in that state. It is an outer state of consciousness when you get to that point. But to get into the state of bliss and stay like that the whole day would require you meditate all day like a Buddhist monk. So there's no such thing that you meditated 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, even 2 hours a day, and then the rest of the day you are in a state of complete bliss. That is, if you expect that, you would be disappointed by meditation. But what happens is that you will feel when your thoughts are against you. You will be able, in a better way, to track your thought patterns and your emotions that drag your energy levels down. So this is super important, and overall it will make your quality of life much better. Be realistic and patient about the results. Meditation is about you getting your attention back to breathing or feeling something as your mind is ceaselessly trying to take you places. It is a difficult process, but it gets more controllable with time and practice. So even after those 4 years of meditating, again, at the beginning more on and off, now I'm doing it daily or almost daily for at least 10 minutes a day. So it's not necessarily how long you do it, although if you do it longer and you are able to control it longer, it's better for you. But it's how consistent you're doing it, first of all. But after all this time of doing it, it gets more controllable, more easier. But what I was saying is that even after this whole time, easier does not mean easy. So you might still get the intrusive thoughts, and you for sure will get the intrusive thoughts, because it's not that you're getting better of getting the intrusive thoughts out, not having them. You're not getting better at not having them. You are getting better at removing them constantly, quicker, more efficient, and keeping them away from a longer period of time. But your brain is designed to think, so you will always be thinking. Don't expect when you get, after a lot of years, to stay in that state of no thought without effort. But what's interesting is that at the beginning of the meditation, you will struggle, you will notice, or at least at the beginning might mean the first 10-15 minutes. It depends on how long you're doing it. Sometimes I'm going through the meditation and I still couldn't manage to calm the mind to the point where I want to after 15 minutes. And that's alright. That's alright, but you've practiced that art. So it's a form of art that you need to practice. But usually what happens is that at the beginning your mind will be going places, and then you will attract your attention back to your breathing, back to some patterns, back to a mantra, which is a phrase that you repeat. And that will automatically distract you from your intrusive thoughts. You will be the observer. And you will reach a point when you can say, I am not what I think and feel, I am witnessing what I think and feel. I am the active observer. And I also want to contradict these studies again, obviously, because my personal experience is much different than those observable, objective, as you say, in science studies. I want to contradict them and say that this is a journey of years, not of weeks or months. It's a lifetime journey, much like a fad diet versus a lifestyle diet. So it's very different when you do a diet for a week or a day for the New Year's resolution, and when you do a diet that lasts years or lasts the rest of your lifetime. And it's the same with meditation. Meditation is a lifelong journey, and those studies, the longest study there was 8 weeks. 8 weeks is a very, very, very short study. So if you want to really look at the benefits and really look at how people improve after those years of meditation and look at their brains, you would see a big difference. And if you look at CT scans and MRIs, fMRI scans, so functional magnetic resonance scans in the brain of people that actually meditated for very long periods of times, I'm talking about years or decades, and monks that have been doing that for all their lives, you see the brain is functioning differently. The brain is calmer. The patterns of the brain are different. The neurons don't fire haphazardly. It's more of a controlled firing, and something that you can practically see. You can see the gyrification or cortical folding of the brain, which allows the brain to process information faster. Meditation also, you can see it increases whole brain function by synchronizing the right and left hemispheres of the brain and increasing the balance and amplitude in the alpha, theta, and delta brainwave patterns. You can see a better focus regulation through cortical thickness. You can see increases in dopamine and serotonin, which help with mood. You can see improvements in cognitive function, mindfulness, and the ability to sustain focus due to increased cerebral brain volume and central blood flow. And you can also see, obviously, stress reduction by downregulating cortisol and adrenaline, creating a state of deep relaxation. So all those things are also some findings of the research. So functional studies, studies that look into the brain, see a lot of hormonal and functional differences in the brain, rather than studies that ask people how to report those things. And for me, it's just, if you do it, you will see and feel the difference. There's no way you can convince me that this is not beneficial, because I know I feel it. Is there a way to convince me that this is not beneficial for everyone? Yes, of course. As I said before, some people need medication, some people need other types of therapies before they can get into this meditation patterns. And some people might not be able to. And so I understand that too. Our brains function differently. But for the most of the population, it's really valuable. Okay, this is it. I wanted to make a shorter podcast, but one that addresses something that we all need to be aware during those difficult times. And there's always difficult times, but even more so during those times. If you haven't done so, please practice meditation, practice visualization, practice yoga, practice those things that will pay off big dividends in the future. And don't expect anything, just let it happen. As I said before, I have attached the links of the research at the end of in the description, and you can see also that I have attached videos of how meditation can help, so explained by someone else, and meditation sessions actually. The first link I will publish is about grounding meditation. The second one is morning meditation, one type of morning meditation. The third one is another type of morning meditation. The fourth one is letting go meditation. The fifth one is guided Zen meditation. The sixth one is Buddhist chant meditation. So it's chanting, it's not guided, but listen to this and try to be in a meditative state after you have learned a little bit how to meditate. By listening to that music will transpose you in a very interesting state of mind where you will start noticing things and imagining things. It's very interesting how you get into that state. And I use those chanting meditations for ideas, and not only for ideas, for a deeper state of relaxation, because there's nothing like silent or chanting meditation when you don't hear anybody's voice. It's just you with your voice in your head. You can listen to it much better. Again, when you're silent, it speaks. The seventh one is Wim Hof breathing technique. This is more of a nervous system and immunity activation than meditation, but it can get you in a very meditative state, and you will feel at the end of it, if you do it properly, how blood is reaching and oxygen is reaching cells and parts of the body that it hasn't reached before. It's an amazing meditation, and it's very good for immune system activation. The seventh one, or the eighth one, I don't even know where I'm at, is Russell Brand, talking about meditation for beginners. And the ninth one is the meditation, the benefits of meditation with Russell Brand again. I think Russell Brand is a very good person to listen to, because first of all, he's a very intelligent guy. Second of all, he is a spiritual guy. And third of all, he's a very good explainer. He breaks things down very well. He's entertaining. He's funny. He's a comedian. So I really recommend, if you want to get motivated into getting into meditation, to listen to some sessions with him and what he has to say about it. Stay safe, stay healthy, much love, and take care of you and your family. Bye.